12 fights that never stayed in boardrooms. They spilled into courtrooms, onto album covers, and onto the faces of artists who thought they owned what they created. You've heard every song on this list. You don't know what it cost the person who wrote it. These are 12 royalty battles that exposed the music industry for exactly what it is. Number 10, David Bowie, Tony DeFries. By 1970, David Bowie had one hit single, a string of albums that hadn't connected, and a vision that was 3 years ahead of what the market could understand. Then he met Tony DeFries, a sharp London legal executive who saw exactly what Bowie could become and was willing to spend whatever it took to make it happen. And spin DeFries did. He founded a management company called Main Man, brought in figures from Andy Warhol's factory to build the image, and treated Bowie like he was already a global superstar. The investment worked. Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, Diamond Dogs. With God-given ass, but he took it all too far. By 1974, David Bowie was one of the biggest rock stars on the planet. But here's what the contract actually said. DeFries was taking 50% of Bowie's gross earnings, not net, gross. And he was running Main Man like a film studio, enormous staffing costs, elaborate promotions, a full support infrastructure, all of it coming off Bowie's side of the ledger. By some accounts, Bowie was actually losing money on concert tours he was selling out. When things fell apart in 1975, the settlement was brutal. DeFries walked away with a share of Bowie's income for the next 7 years. 7 years, covering the recordings they'd made together, which means a piece of Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, Diamond Dogs, and Young Americans. Some of the most important rock albums ever made, and Bowie was still paying DeFries on them years after they'd stopped speaking. Play guitar, jamming good with weird. And here's the part that's genuinely complicated. It was DeFries' vision and lavish spending that built the Bowie myth in the first place. He created the machine that made it all possible, and he also extracted the most from it. That's a strange thing to sit with, when the person who believed in you first is also the one who cost you the most. Bowie later described the experience as the most expensive signature of his career. With God-given ass, but he took it all too far. Number 9, the Rolling Stones' Allen Klein. In 1965, the Rolling Stones had a problem. Their manager was maximizing their deal with Decca Records. They needed someone aggressive, someone who understood leverage. Allen Klein was the answer. He renegotiated their contract, secured a better advance, and positioned himself as the man who could take them to the next level. For a while, it looked exactly like that. What they didn't fully understand was what they were actually signing. Klein structured the arrangement so that his company, ABKCO, controlled the master recordings, not just the management, the recordings themselves. The Stones thought they were getting a better deal. What Klein had engineered was a situation where everything they'd made belonged to him if they ever left. When the relationship fell apart in 1970, ugly, litigious, costly, the full scope of it became clear. Their entire catalog from 1963 to 1970 now belonged to ABKCO. Satisfaction, Painted Black, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Sympathy for the Devil, Honky Tonk Women. Every record from the decade they became the greatest rock and roll band in the world, gone. To fulfill their final obligation to Decca, they deliberately recorded a song called Cocksucker Blues, knowing the label would refuse to release it. It was a middle finger in 4/4 time. Klein had the last word there too. He pushed out Street Fighting Man as the Decca release instead, and quietly retained partial rights to Brown Sugar and Wild Horses, songs finished during his tenure. Sticky Fingers in 1971 was the first Rolling Stones album they actually owned, the first in 8 years. A BKCO still controls that pre-1971 catalog today. Every stream of Gimme Shelter sends a piece to Klein's estate. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards have lived with that outcome for over 50 years. You probably don't think about it when the song comes on, but they do.
Let's look at the numbers. Only 9% of you are actually subscribed. Honestly, that's tough to see. Our team spends days hunting down archives and verifying every single fact just to tell these stories right. If you've made it this far into the video, you're clearly part of the community, so please hit subscribe. It costs nothing and helps us immensely. Now, for those already subscribed, very few of you have made the jump to our membership, and that's a hard pill to swallow because you're the ones who know our value best. If this channel has moved you or inspired you, consider joining. It's the price of one coffee, but it's the literal fuel for this channel. Let's keep this alive together. Back to the story.
Number 8, Jimi Hendrix, Ed Chalpin. In the fall of 1965, Jimi Hendrix was surviving in New York on session work and borrowed money, sleeping in hotels he could barely afford. Pawning his guitar when the rent was overdue. Completely unknown outside a small circle of musicians who already understood what they were hearing. He had no manager, no legal counsel, no power. A studio owner named Ed Chalpin put a piece of paper in front of him. Hendrix believed he was signing a release form for a recording session. What he was actually signing was a 3-year exclusive recording contract. His voice, his guitar, everything he would ever play or sing. For $1 and 1% royalties, $1 for 3 exclusive years, Chalpin filed the contract away. Hendrix went to England. The Jimi Hendrix Experience happened. Purple Haze, Hey Joe, all along the Watchtower. And by 1967, Ed Chalpin was watching the most electric guitarist alive become a global phenomenon. With that contract still in a drawer, the legal action started immediately. Chalpin began releasing recordings Hendrix had made years earlier as a session sideman, packaging them to look like official Jimi Hendrix solo material. Some releases used imagery specifically designed to be confused with Experience albums. Hendrix's manager had bought out every prior contract his client had signed. Every single one, except that one. The one-page document, $1. The litigation followed Hendrix until his death in 1970. At 27 years old, it followed his estate for decades after that. The case didn't fully resolve until 2003, and there was still residual dispute that took until 2014 to settle completely. One page, $1, 49 years of legal consequences. And here's what's impossible to shake. Hendrix didn't know what he'd signed. He thought it was a session release. That's how it started, not with malice on his part. Just a young musician who needed the work and didn't have anyone in the room to tell him what he was putting his name on. Number 7, Bruce Springsteen, Mike Appel. In the summer of 1975, two things happened simultaneously. One, Bruce Springsteen released Born to Run and appeared on the covers of Time and Newsweek in the same week, the first rock musician ever to achieve that. The industry called him the future of rock and roll. For once, the hyperbole was right. 2, his contract with manager Mike Appel was quietly one of the most exploitative deals a musician had signed in years. Appel had believed in Springsteen before anyone else. He'd fought to get him signed to Columbia, co-produced the early records, and pushed him into rooms that changed everything. But the contracts he drew up in 1972 gave Apple control over publishing, an overwhelming slice of the royalties, and authority over the recording process itself. When Springsteen finally examined the books after Born to Run, he discovered he was keeping less than 10% of his own income. He filed suit in July 1976, alleging fraud, undue influence, and breach of trust. Not been hit by flying lead. 2 days later, Appel countersued, and then Appel obtained a legal injunction preventing Springsteen from entering a recording studio with his new producer, John Landau. A court upheld it in September 1976. For nearly a year, at the exact peak of his artistic momentum, on the heels of being called the future of rock and roll, Bruce Springsteen couldn't record. He took the band on the road. He played legendary live shows. He called it the Lawsuit Tour. And while audiences were watching the future of rock and roll perform every single night, that future was legally barred from making his next record. Wait for the ricochet. Some songs he started during that year, he said later, never got finished, never came back the same way. The settlement came in May 1977. Appel received $800,000 and a reduced royalty rate. Springsteen got his career back, but that year of enforced silence, that was the real cost. Some of you know exactly what it feels like to be blocked precisely at the moment you have the most to say. Number 6, The Verve, Bittersweet Symphony. You're a slave to money, In 1997, Richard Ashcroft wrote one of the most recognizable songs of the decade, Bittersweet Symphony. That opening string line, ascending, relentless, cinematic. Once you've heard it once, it's yours for life. And Ashcroft had been careful. The Verve legally licensed a sample from an orchestral version of a Rolling Stones track, negotiating a publishing split before anything went to press. He thought everything was handled. Then Allen Klein stepped in. The same Allen Klein who owned the Rolling Stones' pre-1971 catalog through ABKCO. The same name from entry 9 on this list. Klein claimed the Verve had exceeded the scope of their license, using more of the sample than the agreement covered. A BKCO filed suit. With the single already pressed and the release date approaching, the Verve didn't have the financial resources to fight a prolonged legal battle. They settled. They surrendered 100% of the publishing, every future royalty. And the songwriting credit was transferred to Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, two men who hadn't written a single word. Ashcroft's name was removed entirely when Bittersweet Symphony was nominated for a Grammy. The names on the ballot were Jagger and Richards. In total, Richard Ashcroft received exactly $1,000 in publishing money from Bittersweet Symphony. That's the entire sum for one of the most iconic songs of the 1990s. In 2019, Jagger and Richards voluntarily transferred the rights back to Ashcroft. They didn't have to. They chose to. Ashcroft accepted and said publicly, and I want you to hear this, "Thank you for acknowledging me as the writer of a masterpiece." Not angry, not bitter, grateful for getting back what was his in the first place. 22 years later, that's where the story lands. Number 5, George Harrison / My Sweet Lord. I know, you're about to see Allen Klein's name again, but stay with me, spool, because this version of the story is darker than the others. This one was personal. George Harrison released My Sweet Lord in 1970. It hit number 1 in the US and UK. Beautiful, devotional, unmistakably his. Then a company called Bright Tunes filed suit, claiming the melody plagiarized He's So Fine, Chiffon's hit from 1963. Harrison's manager handled the defense. That manager was Allen Klein. Klein negotiated with Bright Tunes on Harrison's behalf. He was inside the room. He saw the royalty figures, the legal strategy, the exact settlement value Harrison was willing to accept. He knew everything about the case. Harrison fired Klein in 1973. Bitter split, separate litigation. And here's the part that still gets me. In late 1975, while Harrison's lawyers were in active settlement talks with Bright Tunes, while the case was close to resolving quietly, Klein secretly purchased Bright Tunes for $587,000. He used the financial intelligence he gathered while representing Harrison to determine what the company was worth.
My sweet boy.
He didn't disclose it. He didn't tell Harrison. Then he rejected the settlement offer Harrison had just put on the table.
Really wanna see you.
In a single move, Klein went from Harrison's defender to Harrison's adversary, armed with everything he'd learned from inside Harrison's own camp. The trial came in February 1976. The judge ruled Harrison had subconsciously plagiarized, a landmark ruling establishing that you can accidentally infringe copyright with zero intent. Harrison was ordered to pay $1.6 million. The case dragged on until 1998, 27 years.
Really wanna see you, Lord.
Harrison said later, and I still don't know how he managed this. I don't feel bad about it. The song saved many a heroin addict's life. He meant the message in the music, not the litigation. The man kept his sense of humor through 27 years of legal warfare with a manager who betrayed him from the inside. That's not just a royalty battle. That's a specific kind of loss that a dollar figure doesn't capture. Number 4, John Fogerty / CCR Saul Zaentz.
Are we gonna slide way back in the country? There's a
John Fogerty wrote everything that made Creedence Clearwater Revival legendary. Every lyric, every arrangement, every production decision.
jelly roll.
6 albums in the Billboard Top 10, 10 million selling singles. Proud Mary, Bad Moon Rising, Fortunate Son, Have You Ever Seen the Rain?
You just bring it down to jelly roll.
And when he signed with Fantasy Records in the late 1960s, before any of that existed, he signed away the publishing on every song he'd ever write for the label.
Damn, but I can dance. Lord, I'm jumping all the time.
When CCR collapsed in 1972, Saul Zaentz, who owned Fantasy Records, kept every bit of it.
To the river when you're down, but that's alright.
Fogerty couldn't perform his own songs in concert without paying Zaentz. He refused to do it. For over a decade, he wouldn't play a single CCR song on stage.
Place where they treat you right, you just bring it down and
Then in 1985, Fogerty released a comeback album called Centerfield, massive commercial success. The lead single was The Old Man Down the Road. Zaentz sued him for plagiarizing it. Think about what's being said there. Not plagiarizing a song by someone else, plagiarizing a CCR song that John Fogerty wrote.
away. Honey dripping from the mouth of you.
The legal argument was that Old Man Down the Road sounded too much like Run Through the Jungle, a Fogerty composition from 1970 that Zaentz now owned the copyright to.
I'm a live, honey straight to the bone. I just bring it down.
The man was being sued for stealing his own creative DNA. Fogerty defended himself by picking up a guitar and playing both songs on the witness stand for the jury.
Are we gonna slide way back in the country? There's a
Side by side, in real time, in front of a silent courtroom. He won.
ever guess I'm love. You better bring it down to jelly.
And Centerfield also included a track called Zans Can't Dance, about a greedy pig character everyone immediately recognized as Zans.
You just bring it down to jelly roll.
Fogerty was sued for defamation. He settled, changed the title to Vance Can't Dance. There's a specific kind of rage that produces a song like that.
Damn, but I can dance. Lord, I'm jumping all the time.
You probably know what it feels like to not be able to say the one true thing directly and having to find a different way to say it. having to change the name, having to bury the actual sentence inside a metaphor. Fogerty had to do it literally. Number 3, Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. Led Zeppelin released Stairway to Heaven in November 1971. Within a decade, it was being called the greatest rock song ever recorded. That opening guitar figure, the finger-picked ascent, the classical guitar patience of it, you can hear it right now without trying. It's built into you. For 43 years, almost nobody publicly challenged where it came from. Then in 2014, the estate of Randy California filed suit. California was the guitarist for a California rock band called Spirit. Spirit had recorded an instrumental called Taurus in 1968. The finger-picked intro to Taurus, the chord structure, the ascending line, the whole thing sounds close, very close to some ears. And here's the detail that made this impossible to dismiss. Led Zeppelin had opened for Spirit on a 1968 U.S. tour. Jimmy Page and Robert Plant were in the room when Taurus was performed more than once. Randy California had been publicly raising this for years before his death in 1997. Before he drowned trying to save his son in Hawaii, he never saw it go to court. His estate finally filed in 2014, 17 years after he died. The trial was in 2016. Led Zeppelin's defense argued that a chord sequence and a descending bass line couldn't be owned, that these were common techniques reaching back through centuries of classical and folk guitar. Jimmy Page testified. Both recordings were played for the jury. The jury found for Led Zeppelin. Then the case was appealed, then reviewed by a full panel of federal judges. The final ruling in Led Zeppelin's favor didn't come until 2020. A case that started in 2014 about a song from 1971 about a moment on a tour from 1968. Whatever you believe about the merits, and people still feel very strongly on both sides of this one, the case permanently rewrote how courts think about protecting melody and harmonic structure in music. It redrew the line between influence and theft, and Randy California died never hearing the verdict on the question he spent 20 years asking. I'll let you decide where you land on it. I think that's kind of the point. Number 2, The Beatles, Northern Songs.
Ooh, she does. Yes, she does.
In 1963, Dick James set up a publishing company called Northern Songs to manage the Lennon-McCartney catalog. It went public in 1965. Lennon and McCartney each held 15% of the shares. They were young, they were at the height of their commercial power, and they thought they owned a meaningful piece of their own future. In 1969, without warning either of them, Dick James sold his controlling shares to a British television conglomerate called ATV, headed by media mogul Lou Grade.
Don't you know it's gonna last?
Lennon and McCartney found out through the press. Not a phone call, not a letter, a newspaper. They tried to buy it back. Apple Corps was in financial chaos, and Lou Grade had more capital. The Beatles lost.
Don't let me down.
And by the time they sold their remaining shares, Lennon and McCartney had no ownership stake in the publishing on any of the songs they'd written together. That situation sat unchanged for 16 years. In 1984, ATV put the catalog up for sale. McCartney wanted to buy it back. He'd spent years acquiring other artists' publishing catalogs. He owned Buddy Holly's songs, among others, and understood this business better than almost anyone alive. He planned to bid seriously.
Yes, she does.
And here's the cruelest detail anywhere on this entire list. In the early 1980s, McCartney had worked with Michael Jackson. The girl is mine. Say.
Don't let me down.
During those sessions, McCartney explained to Jackson how valuable music publishing rights were. He walked him through the mechanics, used his own situation as the cautionary example, how he'd lost the rights to his songs and what it had cost him. Jackson apparently told McCartney, "I'm going to buy your songs someday." McCartney thought he was joking. In August 1985, Michael Jackson paid $47.5 million for ATV Music Publishing, outbidding Paul McCartney for Yesterday, Hey Jude, Let It Be. And over 250 other Lennon-McCartney songs McCartney had written, songs he had never fully owned. McCartney spent decades trying to get them back. He started reclaiming some through U.S. copyright termination law in 2017, over 50 years after Yesterday was written.
I guess nobody ever really.
Number 1, Prince versus Warner Brothers. Prince signed with Warner Brothers in 1977. He had creative control. He built an empire inside that deal. Purple Rain, Sign of the Times, Love Sexy. Diamonds and Pearls, 17 albums, a catalog that redefined what a recording artist could be. All of it delivered to a label that owned every master recording he ever handed them. That last part was always the problem. By 1993, it reached a breaking point. Prince wanted to release music at his own pace. Warner controlled the release schedule, they owned the masters, and they wanted careful commercial spacing between albums. Prince had no say over his own recordings, so he changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol, not as a stunt, as a legal argument. If he was no longer Prince, Warner couldn't trade on the trademarked name they'd built their entire commercial apparatus around. Warner's PR team had to mail floppy disks to journalists so they could even print the symbol in articles. That is how seriously he was pushing this. Then he started appearing in public with the word slave written on his cheek at the 1995 Brit Awards on television in front of millions of people. Not in a lawsuit filing, not in a press release, written on his face. He said this, "People think I'm a crazy fool for writing slave on my face, but if I can't do what I want to do, what am I?" When you stop a man from dreaming, he becomes a slave. I don't own Prince's music. If you don't own your masters, your master owns you. He deliberately delivered weak albums to burn through his contract faster. He fulfilled his obligations and left Warner in 1996. In 2014, he re-signed with them. But this time the deal included the return of his master recordings: Dirty Mind, 1999, Purple Rain, Sign of the Times. He got them back. He died in April 2016, having finally owned what he built, and this one doesn't stay in the 1990s. Prince's War became the template for every ownership dispute that followed. Taylor Swift cited him directly. Artists point to him when they explain why masters matter. He turned a personal war into a structural argument about what it means to make something, and whether the person who makes it gets to own it. If you don't own your masters, your master owns you. He said it. He lived it. He won.
Seem to make up your mind. I think you better close it.